So Assassin's Creed Codename Red is right around the corner, so I figured I would share some things that I would like to see in it. Now keep in mind, all of these are my requests, so you might want something totally different for Assassin's Creed Red. But without further ado, let's get into it. So the first thing I want to see is pretty basic, but I feel it's been missing from some recent AC games, and that is a good parkour system. Now parkour has been vital to Assassin's Creed games for a long time. However, recently it feels like parkour is being neglected more and more. Whether you like the RPG games or not, you have to acknowledge that the parkour has seen a significant downgrade since Assassin's Creed Origins in 2017. I think Mirage took a step in the right direction, but it was limited by Valhalla's engine, so it couldn't really progress that far. After all, this is an RPG game, so I don't expect it to have parkour on the level of Assassin's Creed Revelations or Unity, but I hope it steps it up from Valhalla at least. And with the new engine Ubisoft Quebec is using, I'm hoping that it will. So the next thing I want for AC Red is an overhauled combat system. Now this might sound obvious, however, let me elaborate a little bit more on it. Now I think the hitbox combat system from Origins to Valhalla worked for Vikings and Spartans, but I don't think it'll work for Shinobi and Samurai. We know the game's set in feudal Japan, so I'd like to see more deadly, flashy combat. I'd also like to see less spongy enemies. The system in Odyssey, despite everyone complaining about the game in general, had a certain fluidity to it, and I thought that was really good. Now, seeing as Quebec also developed Odyssey, I'm confident they can bring the same level of fluidity to AC Red. I'm also hoping Quebec can take that and implement it into a more brutal combat system. I actually think Valhalla, despite all its flaws, did a pretty good job at having a brutal combat system, and I'm hoping Assassin's Creed Red can learn from it. I'm not saying I want Sekiro combat, I'm just saying I want a slight overhaul to the system that's getting a little bit stale at this point. So the next thing I want to talk about is probably my biggest wish for Assassin's Creed Red, and that is a darker tone. Now I'm mostly saying this because looking back at Quebec's previous work, that being Syndicate and Odyssey, they both had a more lighthearted tone. Now I think this worked alright for ancient Greece, but for Victorian London it felt completely out of place because that was one of the darkest times in human history. I personally think that a darker tone would fit the feudal Japanese time period pretty well. One thing that makes me hopeful is that one of the main characters, Yasuke, was an African warrior that defected to the samurai order, and I think this story would fit a darker tone perfectly. For example, Yasuke could show the other main character, Naoi, that war just leads to more war, and it never resolves anything. I don't know if Quebec's gonna take that approach, but this is one of my ideas. So yeah, I'm hopeful this game will have a darker tone rather than Quebec's previous work. So the next thing I want to see in this game are some big cities. Now, I've always loved cities in AC games, whether Roman Brotherhood, Alexandria in Origins, Havana and Black Flag, etc. I think these cities were in large majority missing from Valhalla, but I'm hoping Assassin's Creed Red can bring them back. This can also help set AC Red apart from Ghost of Tsushima, which is getting a PC port this year, because that game had a focus on beautiful countrysides and small rural towns. So if Assassin's Creed Red implements large sprawling cities, I think it can stand out more. I also think the architecture of the time period the game takes place in is simply beautiful. I'm just imagining a large sprawling city filled with pagodas and lights illuminating narrow walkways. So yeah, I really do hope Quebec implements large cities into Assassin's Creed Codename Red. Alright, so before I get into the next thing I want to see in AC Red, if I could just please ask you guys to like and subscribe. It helps me out a ton, and if you like my content, you can get notifications for it, so you win, I win, nobody loses. Also, if you're enjoying the video so far, a like would be greatly appreciated. I'm a small YouTube channel and I'm trying to grow, so yeah, thank you guys. Let's get back into the video. Alright, so the next thing I'm going to talk about is based on the story rather than the gameplay, and that is having a story based around assassins. Now this is important to me because we just had two games, that being Odyssey and Valhalla, that really didn't revolve around assassins too much. And this is disappointing considering the series is called Assassin's Creed. Valhalla pretended to be about assassins, but in reality they were barely present throughout the story. Now I'm hoping AC Red will feature assassins a little bit more because unlike Odyssey, it takes place in a time period where the Brotherhood actually existed. So I'm hoping Ubisoft Quebec can make Naoi and Yasuke join the Japanese Brotherhood at one point in the story or the other. Whether in the beginning like Syndicate or later in the story, I don't really care. So yeah, as long as we get a story about assassins in an Assassin's Creed game, I'll be happy enough. So the next thing I want to see in this game is also very important, and that is having minimal fantasy elements in this game. Now the early Assassin's Creed games had a knack for historical accuracy. However, we've deviated from those roots so much that you can now unlock Thor's hammer in Assassin's Creed Valhalla. Now I'm okay with having some fantasy elements in these games. I was okay with the fantasy elements in AC Origins because it tied in with Egyptian culture very well and also led to some insane emotional moments. I'm okay with AC Red having some Japanese folklore, but I really hope it doesn't overtake the real historical elements. For example, I don't want to have a boss fight with a mythological creature, but I'm okay with a kitsune or some other animal from Japanese folklore coming to guide our protagonist, similar to how the eagle reached out to Connor in Assassin's Creed 3. So yeah, I'm okay with minimal fantasy elements, but I really don't want too many of them. So the last thing I want to talk about in this video are the visuals. Since this is the first truly next-gen, or I guess current-gen AC game, I'm hoping the visuals will be a step up from its predecessors. I think AC Origins and Unity might be the two best-looking games in the series, along with Valhalla. I am also confident that Ubisoft will step up the visuals because they have a new version of their engine. I am also hoping to see a more wide-range color palette, and I actually think Valhalla did a pretty good job at that. I also hope we see some of the stunning environments from Assassin's Creed Origins. Assassin's Creed Unity is 10 years old, which is crazy to think about. However, I still think it has some of the best lighting I've ever seen in a game, period. So I'm hoping AC Red can finally dethrone it. I also hope the game is optimized and the performance is consistent across all platforms. So yeah, in conclusion, I'm hoping AC Red will be a great game. So yeah, let me know in the comment section below, do you think AC Red will be good? If so, what do you want to see in it? But yeah, that'll be all from me for this video. See you guys next time. Bye.